This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. A lot to cover on this Thursday, including Hurricane Milton's landfall in Florida. Let's begin, though, in the Middle East as Hezbollah continues to launch hundreds of projectiles at Israel. It began on Wednesday, and Hamas leader Sinwar wants assurances that Israel will spare his life in a hostage deal as he encourages the revival of suicide bombings. CBN Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl is on the story. She reports now from Jerusalem.
Hezbollah launched more than 220 rockets and missiles into Israeli airspace Wednesday, some making an impact on civilian communities. An Israeli couple walking their dogs in Kiryat Shmona was killed in one missile attack. Meanwhile, for the first time in 50 days, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, surrounded by top officials, talked with President Biden in a call lasting almost an hour Wednesday. Biden reportedly told Netanyahu the U.S. cannot and will not see Lebanon turned into another Gaza. But the White House did put the blame for this war on Hezbollah.
For over a year, if you think about what has occurred for over a year, you've seen Hezbollah has attacked Israel and rejected all off-ramps to this conflict. That's what you've seen. The suffering we are seeing in Lebanon could have been avoided if Hezbollah would have stopped its rockets attacks on Israel.
The State Department pointing out that for nearly 2 decades, the terror group has not fulfilled Lebanon's pledge to the United Nations to disarm terror groups and stay miles away from Israel's border.
Hezbollah was supposed to put down its arms, and it was supposed to withdraw beyond the Litani River. And over the 18 years since that resolution was implemented, they refused to do either of those things.
The Iranian-backed proxy army has also been attacking Israel on a near-daily basis since October 8th.
Hezbollah has fired more than 12,000 rockets, missiles, and UAVs at Israel.
For now, the U.S. is backing Israeli efforts to wipe out Hezbollah's ability to attack the Jewish state. As for Israel's pledged response to Iran for last week's attack with more than 180 missiles, Defense Minister Yoav Gallant issued a stark threat to the regime.
Our attack will be lethal, precise, and above all surprising. They will not understand what happened and how it happened.
In Gaza, after months of silence, Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar has resurfaced to seek guarantees for his own life. According to the Jewish news syndicate, Sinwar is exploring the possibility of receiving immunity in any ceasefire for hostages deal. At the same time, the terror leader is reportedly calling on terror groups to revive suicide bombings against targets in Israel. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
I want to continue now with CBN News Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell, who joins us. So, Chris, Yahya Sinwar has been public enemy number one for Israel in its war against Hamas. How will they respond to his demands, and what do we know about his whereabouts?
Well, we know his whereabouts likely some in one of those tunnels inside Gaza. The speculation in times past has been Khan Yunis, one of the biggest cities there in Gaza. We had been in one of those tunnels several months ago and saw how extensive they are and how well built they are. I think one thing that Sinwar is apparently asking for his own livelihood, his own safety and security, that he could survive this war. And if they, for exchange for his survival, released all of the hostages, I think that would be something that Israel would agree to. The hostages, 101 now, we know several of those, maybe a few dozen of those, tragically are dead. But Israel has been praying, has been seeking, has been negotiating to try to get their bodies back, or those ones that are still alive. So I think they would agree to that. And Yahya Sinwar would likely be a wanted man for the rest of his life if he ever does get out of the Gaza Strip.
Does Israel intend to keep up the pressure on Hezbollah until they're basically no longer a threat?
I believe they do. I think they'll have to achieve one of their official goals of the war, which is to drive Hezbollah or any other militia out of that zone from the blue line, the Israeli-Lebanese border, all the way up to the Litani River. That's their official goal. What that will do will enable them to get the more than 60,000 and probably likely maybe as many as 100,000 Israelis back to their homes and their livelihoods after more than a year of being away. So I think they're going to go, and I can continue to pursue Hezbollah that it's no longer a threat. I think that's what they're going to be going to do.
Chris, Israel is also promising a swift and surprising response to Iran for its recent attack. What kind of speculation has there been about how Israel might strike back?
Well, the speculation had been, well, originally that possibly they would go after the nuclear sites, but apparently now the speculation is that they won't go after the nuclear sites, but go after military installations, intelligence units, maybe some of the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. It remains to be seen. But as Yoav Gallant said, the defense minister for Israel, it's going to be precise. It's going to be surprising. And given the fact of what Israel has done in the last several weeks, especially with the beeper attack, that was just an unprecedented way to literally disable thousands of Hezbollah fighters. There could be a surprise in what Israel's going to do. They're going to meet later today, the cabinet, in Israel, and they're going to vote on what they're going to do with Iran.
Jews will be celebrating the high holy holiday of Yom Kippur tomorrow. Tell us more about this day and this season.
Well, this is the Day of Atonement. This is a biblical command, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. It's preceded 10 days earlier than that by Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. And in between those two holidays, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, they call it the 10 days of awe. And during this time, Jews are commanded to make restitution, to make sure their lives are right. There's a saying there called Gima Hatima Tova. May you be inscribed, have a good inscription in the book of life. So that's what they do. There's been tens of thousands of people at the Western Wall crying out for forgiveness on Yom Kippur, and I've never experienced this in any other country from when I've been there. Literally, the country basically shuts down completely. Certainly not emergency services of the IDF, but really you could walk down the streets of most any city. People go to the synagogues. They also fast for 25 hours. And so it's a very, very holy day coming up for the Jewish people.
Since the October 7th attacks last year, have many Israelis drawn closer to God, and how can we be praying for them right now?
They really have. If you look back to a Jerusalem Post poll, many Jews and Israelis have come closer to God because of what happened on October 7th. And the way people can be praying for them, it's been such a traumatic, difficult day, probably a difficult year, probably the worst since the Holocaust. Pray for their comfort. Pray that they would be healed from the emotional trauma, the physical trauma, and also all the things that happened during the war economically and certainly throughout the Israeli society. Just pray for comfort during this difficult time.
All right. Thank you so much, Chris. That is our prayer indeed. Here at home, rescue and relief teams are moving in after Hurricane Milton battered Florida overnight. The storm came ashore near Sarasota with 120-mile-an-hour winds. More than 3 million people are without power. Even before Milton made landfall, the storm spawned dozens of tornadoes, damaging homes and taking a number of lives. CBN's Lori Johnson is on the story.
Hurricane Milton came ashore with winds of more than 120 miles an hour, making landfall near Sarasota at about 8:30 Wednesday night. Tampa was spared a direct hit, but the strong winds shredded the roof of the Tropicana Field, home to the Tampa Bay Rays.
This is the power of Hurricane Milton.
The winds toppling a huge construction crane, which crashed into the Tampa Bay Times building in downtown St. Petersburg. No injuries are reported. Milton marched across the state overnight, dumping 16 inches of rainfall and leaving a trail of damage, downed trees, flattened homes, and widespread power outages. More than 3 million people are in the dark. Before striking Florida's Gulf Coast, Milton's outer bands spawned more than 30 tornadoes, damaging dozens of homes, including a retirement community, taking a number of lives.
We have fatalities we need to find. We have folks that we want to rescue. And so that's the important part here.
By early Thursday, Milton weakened to a Category 1 storm impacting Orlando before heading out into the Atlantic Ocean. President Biden is promising federal assistance.
People of Florida and all the impacted states, we've got your back.
Relief workers from CBN's Operation Blessing will begin moving into the areas of Florida hardest hit by Hurricane Milton to help victims begin clearing up and providing basic necessities like hot meals. They're taking generators, mobile kitchens, chainsaws, and construction equipment to help the victims. They're also ready to give spiritual comfort and prayer.
This is a huge opportunity for us to go in and be a blessing to people who maybe don't know the Lord otherwise. And so while this is definitely us meeting tangible needs and meeting physical needs, it's a real opportunity spiritually.
Operation Blessing teams are currently in North Carolina and Georgia helping folks devastated by Hurricane Helene. Now they're ready to assist the people of Florida.
So it stretches you thin, but again, the Lord is with us. He opens door after door. We've seen his favor every step of the way, and we're just so grateful for the chance to go in and help these people who are hurting.
Operation Blessing welcomes volunteers, donations, and prayer. Lori Johnson, CBN News.
If you'd like to support Operation Blessing as it helps those hit by Milton, you can call 1-800-700-7000, or you can go to Operation Blessing's website. That's ob.org. Coming up, not only are Jews in Israel under threat, so are many right here in America. We're going to bring you a look at security measures being taken to protect them. We've got that story for you when we come back. You're watching CBN NewsWatch. It's been 6 years this month since an armed gunman killed 11 people at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, the worst massacre in the history of the American Jewish community. CBN's Wendy Griffith spoke with a security expert who was there, and he explains why he now trains Jews full-time to know what to do in a worst-case scenario.
We train the community to survive 3 to 5 minutes. And why do we do that? It's that magic time when something bad happens and law enforcement is called.
What is the protocol?
It's run, hide, fight.
As Pittsburgh's first Jewish communal security director, Brad Orsini will never forget Saturday, October 27th, 2018.
It was a rainy morning.
We all went down into our sanctuary space.
I turned around and there was the man with the gun.
Shot fired, shot fired. They have an active shooter in the building.
It was an unimaginable worst case scenario for the Jewish community that an individual went in with a high-power rifle, an AR-15, and just shot people while they're praying. At their most vulnerable, 11 people lost their lives, 9 families. There were 2 brothers and a husband and wife. And it was a horrific crime scene.
Orsini said it could have been worse had congregants at Tree of Life Synagogue not been trained.
The Pittsburgh community and the Jewish community trained for this, and we spent, from the time the program started in January of 2017 up until the shooting, we trained over 6,000 people in the Jewish community on basic safety measures, how to save your life.
Orsini says the #1 rule in a shooting attack is run.
It's hard to hit a moving target and give them statistics. If somebody's moving, even a trained professional might have trouble hitting a moving target. That's why active shooters are so successful, because people lay on the ground and they're executed. And we know that because they're paralyzed with fear, because their mind can't react, because their heart rate is so high. During the Tree of Life, there was a 90-year-old man who ran up 2 flights of steps, barricaded in a room, and lived.
Stephen Weiss credits the training, as well as God, for saving his life that day.
I ran up the side of the chapel, across the bimah, and out a door that's on that side of the bimah. As I was going out of the door, shots were starting to happen in the chapel itself.
I look back on it, and to me, God has a reason why I'm still here.
Orsini now trains the Jewish community in security on a national level. He says with the growth of anti-Semitism, the need is more important than ever.
We're doing a training module for our Jewish campus students as well to give them that heightened awareness, to give those tools necessary so they can feel more empowered and resilient, because we want them to live their best Jewish life, especially on campus. They should feel free to wear a kippah, wear a Star of David, whatever that is, moving throughout the campus. If they don't feel that, we are losing.
As the threat of more widespread violence grows, combined with students back on campus and Jews celebrating the high holy days, Orsini says the priority is to be prepared and remain vigilant.
We're encouraging the community, we're begging the community, if you see a sign of hate, report it to us, and we will make sure we assess it and get it to law enforcement if actionable.
Wendy Griffith, CBN News.
Still ahead, are major storms like Hurricane Milton and others the result of climate change? We're going to take a look at some of the agendas behind those ideas right after this. Hurricane Milton is the latest of 5 hurricanes making landfall in the U.S. so far this season. Climate activists say this is the new normal. Unprecedented climate change is causing more powerful storms with greater frequency. However, on this week's episode of The Global Lane, Frank Lasee, the author of the book Climate and Energy Lies, contends corporate profiteers and politicians are spreading misinformation and spreading fear.
We're being continually propagandized on every single issue. And the fact is we've always had hurricanes. We always will have hurricanes. We can't stop them. And it's kind of a lie, the premise that if we just had less CO2, somehow we wouldn't have hurricanes. It's not the truth whatsoever. In the in the last 100 years, the most active decade was 1940 for hurricanes. We had 25 landfalling hurricanes in the decade of the 1940s, and we had, I think, five Category 5 hurricanes. Those are the most powerful ones. If you go back through history, the most destructive in terms of deaths was in 1780. It killed 22,000 people, and that decade was very active for hurricanes as well. And we just went through about a 3-decade period where we actually had less hurricanes than historically average. So we're being told that this is a new norm, that this is terrible, unprecedented. Simply not true. Like Asheville being flooded, it was flooded in 1940 and 1913 or 16, one of those two, to the equal or even worse. And there was even a great flood before that that were recorded. So they pretend as if these have never happened. And that's why they switched, I think, from global warming, because it may or may not continue to warm. We don't have any control over that. And they've switched to climate change and emphasizing climate. And there are always going to be weather events around the world. And the fact is that worldwide deaths from climate-related, weather-related type events is down by 90% because we're better able to handle it. We have better warning systems. People get out of the way of the storms. So we're being lied about that. And then we also are lied about how much damage they cause. Yes, they cause a lot of damage. But if you look at pictures, and in my book, you'll see that, a picture of Miami 70, 80 years ago when there's almost nothing there. And now you have millions of people in high-rise apartments and lots of houses, and we have a lot more to lose. So when a hurricane hits Florida, for instance, yes, it's in the billions because we have a lot more people and a lot more billions of property to lose.
And you believe the lies and propaganda spread fear among the populace. Climate alarmism is created to shift wealth to corporations? Tell us more.
Well, that's exactly what this is about. The climate grifters are getting very, very wealthy off the government subsidies. And the Chinese are also getting wealthy off of, or at least improving their economy dramatically, because they make 80% of the wind and solar and some of the only components that go into batteries. They're the only supplier in the world. And they make most of the batteries in the world. So this wind, solar, and batteries idea is getting the climate grifters wealthy, because without the 30% to build and the 30% subsidy for all the electricity that they produce from the government, with money we don't have, adding to our $35 trillion national debt, they really wouldn't exist because they're not economical, they're more expensive. And the corporate interests are getting very wealthy. And climate change is really, the narrative is really about controlling all of this, because everything we do, eat, consume, get, watch Netflix, talk right now, watch this, all require and release CO2. And CO2 is mega plant food. It's airborne Miracle-Gro.
Well, what can we do then? A lot of Americans are suffering right now from this destruction and hardship caused by the hurricanes. The effects of these massive storms is real. So what can we do?
Well, it's a tragedy, and they are real, and they're going to continue to happen no matter what we do. And we've got to do our best. We should be building, and rather than wasting hundreds of billions of dollars on wind and solar, pretending that that's going to change or fix the weather, we should be investing that money into hardening our management of these issues. Very hard in Asheville, for instance, when you get just massive flooding and dump a couple feet of rain. We should do what Netherlands did 500 years ago. We should harden against weather events rather than wasting money on trying to change the future of the weather.
Okay, the book is Climate and Energy Lies, Expensive, Dangerous, and Destructive. Despite the propaganda about why it's happening, I'm sure you join me in keeping the victims of these storms in our prayers and doing what we can to help. Okay, Frank Lasee, thank you for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Also on this week's episode of The Global Lane, the likelihood of Israel retaliating against Iran by striking the Islamic Republic's nuclear facilities. And the widow of Senator Joseph Lieberman explains how faith can help resolve America's political crisis. You can see it all on The Global Lane this evening on the CBN News Channel at 8 Eastern. You can also see it on the CBN News app, or you can watch it on YouTube. We're coming right back with an encouraging word for your day ahead. Stay with us.
Introducing a brand new way to start your morning, the CBN News Quick Start Podcast. Each weekday morning at 7 a.m., get quick highlights of the day's important news. Then an in-depth analysis that goes beyond the headlines. Insights that matter to people of faith. Discover how God is moving around the world and here at home. Find the CBN News Quick Start Podcast on iTunes or wherever you enjoy listening to podcasts, because truth matters.
Time now for your Thursday Thankful, and today I leave you with this prayer of gratitude. God, you are good. You have always been good. You are better than good. Here's the bottom line. God is and has been and is just that good. With that word, may your Thursday be filled with gratitude. Make it a thankful Thursday indeed. That will do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. You can always find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel. You can find them there at any time as well as online. The address is cbnnews.com. Take a moment, let us know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can email us, newswatch@cbn.com. You can also reach out and touch us on Facebook, Instagram, and X. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Goodbye, God bless.